War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about something in the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do because we share the whole of the Auburn experience here on this channel, our podcast, social media, everything that you can find from us. It's all about the Auburn experience. On tonight's live stream, whether you're watching live or on the replay, we are going to be talking about, for the final time this week, it feels like, the Auburn versus Mercer game, a position overall grading system similar to what we did last year on Monday nights, where we all sat down and did a collective grading of quarterbacks, defensive backs, linemen, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to have some fun with it, kind of putting this one finally to bed and moving on to San Jose State after this point. But we got to talk about exactly what happened with it, because we talked about our reactions and stuff like that. But this is like looking into the numbers and just actually putting a grade and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's on tap for tonight. Before I introduce my special guest, who is going to be joining me tonight, I want to remind you, as always, do make sure that you smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. It does help the stream out, helps other people know that we're live so they can be part of the show. And right now in our chat, please do make sure you post. This is our check-in period, where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. Let me know that you are here so that we can say hello and appreciate you for being part of the live stream or watching on the replay. With that being said, as we always say, the Auburn experience is best with many voices and many perspectives. And because of that, I have invited my friend back to the channel, Captain Plainsman himself. Captain Plainsman, would you like me to use your name or Captain Plainsman?
It's however you like it, my man.
I'll probably just switch back and forth, Ben.
Sounds good. It's
Ben
not a
King.
secret. Not a secret at all, but hey, it is football season, so got to get back in the garb. And man, what a game that I'm excited to be here to recap with you, sir.
I am excited too, as well, just to have you back in the saddle with me. Any opportunity I get to talk to the biggest Barner I know, Mr. Ben King, it's a good day. So that's how I get my day started, is just by enjoying some discussions with you. I saw Dusty rejoined I thought you were a channel member still, Dusty. I guess it got switched back on or whatever. It's weird. Sometimes it like cuts people off and then brings them back, but glad to see you're still part of the channel members too, as well. So great job by everybody already posting in the chat where you're watching from across Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So many things. It's not Auburn related, but I got to ask, Neil's asking it, are LSU fans mad? What do you think, Ben?
I hate Paul Feinbaum, and I don't use hate very often, but I mean, come on. However, he had a great take that I really appreciated after that. And he said, LSU paid $10 million for that. And I thought it was great. So kudos to you, Paul. You do something good every once in a while. And if I was LSU, I would be. Probably go for 2 in that moment. Incredible game. Should never have gotten down to that. FSU isn't that good. But hey, I'll take it. I'm going to enjoy beating LSU this year.
I hope so. Listen, from what I wasn't watching the entire thing. In fact, we were recording the latest episode of the Auburn Experience podcast with me and Austin Scott last night. And we took, for those of you that don't know, that don't watch maybe the live recording of that, we actually stay a little bit at the beginning and talk to you guys, and at the end. And we ended up watching the end of the LSU game live. And it was pretty funny because sorry, I get so many people mixed up these days because we got so many 82C Network people. Austin was ahead of me, and so I said, do not react, but of course he reacted, so I kind of had a feeling about what was happening. Anyway, so this is not the LSU misery hour. This is the Auburn Tigers, our 1-0 hour, where we want to, from a quote-unquote professional opinion, and he's throwing up the gang signs too, the good gang signs, grade how our Auburn Tigers did and kind of finally do our final breakdown and putting this one to bed. So let me start off with you, Ben, and you all, as you know, in the chat, offer your opinions and comments. We'll bring them up as appropriate. But I want to give Captain Plainsman the opportunity just to kind of give some overall thoughts about the game.
All right. So, look, we didn't know what this team was going to look like. Lots of turmoil in the offseason, but we believed in Brian Harsin. And I'm glad he's still here, because that game plan he put together, especially before the rain delay, and that kind of took a lot of wind out of things, was incredible. I loved the 2 quarterback look, having both Robbie Ashford and TJ Finley in there was solid. Having them on the field at the same time was great. The rushing attack is incredible. 2 best running backs in the SEC, maybe in all of college football, especially with Tank Bigsby just showing out. He didn't get all the touchdowns. You know, my man, Jarquez Hunter, very opportunistic with 3 TDs on the day. However, leading rusher being our man, the Tank Bigsby. Overall, offensive performance was good, really solid. I was actually very impressed with TJ Finley, so happy with that. And wide receiver stepped up because I had a real, who knows what's going to happen there. Shedrick Jackson was really the only one that I knew was going to be solid, and he definitely showed out as well as a few others, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Overall, I would have loved a shutout. So not a perfect game, but overall, very, very pleased with the performance we put on the field.
Did you make, like, for yourself or whoever, an official score prediction for this game? Any insight into that?
I did not make one for this game. I thought we'd cover. That was it.
We didn't cover, right, because of the 16 points?
No.
It's the Auburn way, right? We win, we have some happiness, but we just can't, seem to do everything.
Look, rain delay is what screwed it for us, so happens.
Yeah, that's part of it, and kind of like Coach Harsin said today in his press conference. You can only play with the hand that you're dealt, right? You can't help what the weather is going to do, all that kind of stuff. So it's still their responsibility to go out there and handle whatever situations thrown the way and focus on being 1-0. For me, the score prediction I had was 45-17. So close. 3 away from our score, 1 away from, and if they hadn't made an extra point, LSU, they, we would have been very, very close to my score prediction. So this has got me feeling really good when I go back to my prediction video I did for the whole season and predicted not only the record, but the scores. I'm pretty on the money right now in terms of, well, I know it's one game, but hey, we got to take our wins where we can get them, right?
Absolutely.
I got to give a shout out to Linda. Linda and I got to see each other. She's a Booster Club member as well as a channel member here at Tiger Walk. It's always good to see familiar faces there. So shout out to Linda for showing up there and hanging out with me. Who thought it was going to do the Georgia Tech Clemson kickoff game? That was probably made a long time ago, but even a long time ago, Georgia Tech wasn't really relevant. Megatron's been gone for a while, so I don't really know there. So Ben, here's what we're going to do. Now, I know you already and I have talked this behind the scenes, but for people's benefit, what we're going to do is go position by position. We're going to do quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, offensive linemen, tight ends will be counted in their receiving with the wide receivers and in their blocking with the offensive linemen. I know that's not going to technically cover everything exactly, but just for the purposes of a thorough show and just kind of getting through things, that's how we're going to operate tonight. And then we'll operate off of a overall score of the offense or a grade of the offense. And then we'll do the same thing for defense. So let's jump right into it because we're about 8 to 9 minutes into the live stream already. Should we start with quarterbacks, Ben, or should we start somewhere else on offense?
I mean, they are the leader of the team.
Let's start with the quarterbacks.
That's where we got to go.
Let's do it. All right. So let me give you guys a little bit of information. I know that you all know it. TJ Finley, 9 for 14 with 2 interceptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. His long was 39. Robbie Ashford, 4 for 7, 100 yards, no touchdowns. And he did have a long pass of 56, neither of which were sacked. In total, 13 of 21, 2 interceptions, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, and obviously that long of 56. So those stats right there, you look at that, it's a pretty, even with the 2 interceptions, you walk away saying that's a solid day at the office, not an outstanding day at the offense, but it's a solid day in my view. And I don't want to speak for you, Ben, but things that stick out from the game when you are thinking about how you're going to grade this position out, what sticks out to you?
Yeah, look, the interceptions, I think, are the biggest thing on people's minds. However, prior to Finley's, 2 INTs, he looked the part. And I've been a big Robbie Ashford fan all offseason. Even back when he was in high school at Hoover, I remember watching tape on him and being like, how do we not get this guy? Well, we fired a coach and then moved people around. And, I wouldn't have come to Auburn then either if I didn't, bleed orange and blue. So getting him back from Oregon, a kind of, I don't know if it's hometown hero, but at least home state hero, I was all over it. I was like, Robbie Ashford is incredible. Look at what he did. He's going to be the man. And TJ Finley came out. He won it in spring. He came out and performed very well. Some of the passes he made were incredible. I was very impressed with the way he stood in the pocket and made some good decisions. That did waver later on. I'm still a huge Robbie Ashford fan, and I don't know if it necessarily matters who the starter is, because if you can get both guys out on the field, then we're going to have great success at the quarterback.
Absolutely. And as I stress here a lot, you need to listen to Coach Harsin in his press conferences, especially. But anytime he gets in front of a camera, the man, yes, he does coach speak like all coaches do, but he speaks openly about what he intends to do. And, that happened a lot in the press conference today. You can watch it here on our channel as well. We have it up for you guys if you want to watch that today. And I'll probably be doing some analysis of it tomorrow. But he talked a lot about, look, I have a history of this. I've done this before. If you are a person that will benefit this team, I will get you on the field. It may not happen every game. It may not happen the games that you want it to, but I will get you on that field. And it seemed like it meant a lot to Robbie. I think he was quoted as saying he got a little emotional when he realized that he was going to be utilized in the game. So you like to hear that. You like to see that meaning more than just a starting job, meaning something to that level that makes you a little bit of emotional. I think when we look at this, Ben, it's always the tendency you kind of have to grade it twice almost because you've got two quarterbacks with significant time. I think the one that's going to determine what our overall grade for the quarterback position is going to be what we think about TJ post those two interceptions. So let's kind of do that. How far do you drop Finley's grade because of those two INTs?
Man, it's tough. It's a passing grade because he looked so good to start out. Look, last year, a little bit of the issues Finley had was immobility, which I think is still kind of there, as well as decision making. And one of those interceptions, he just missed the guy, and the other one was very bad. So he gets a passing grade in my book. He's got a solid C, but I would not say that it was the best performance he could ever have had.
No, absolutely not. Coach Harsin talked about both of those interceptions. One was his, I think he said fundamentals and may have said footwork was the reason that it got intercepted. I think he was referring to the second one. The other one was a poor decision. And he said those are both correctable. He's shown the ability to correct those problems. So old habits sometimes die hard. So nobody's perfect. The good thing is that it seemed like we have two quarterbacks out there that are very serviceable. So with that in mind, what we're going to do now is give our official grade for the group. And I would like everybody in chat watching along to offer you up. A, you can do plus or minus if you like. B, C, D, or F, the normal traditional grading scale. Post that in the chat right now. Benjamin King, your official grade for the quarterbacks.
Yeah, so between the two, you average it out. A for Ashford, C for Finley. We've got a B solid. No plus or minus there.
Yeah.
But there you go.
I'm going to give, if kind of breaking that down like you did, I would say that I would give Ashford an A minus. He had one or two throws that I was not happy with. One where he hit a defender in the back and had the guy, it had been a SEC defender. That's a pick. Yep. Nice to see he's got a nice gun on him, though. He just drilled him in the back. But all in all, very happy with what Ashford provides and very excited about how we're going to see him perform the rest of this season. So I will be very similar to you. I think I'm going to put us at a solid B with like a C plus for TJ and an A minus. That kind of gets me right into the B range right there. We got B's, B minus, B, B plus, B, B, and B. Look at that. I mean, we got some minuses and pluses, but it looks like we can all agree. I got to be honest with you, Ben. I think that's the first time the commentators in the chat have all agreed. Oh, now wow. Somebody's going to post like an F just to throw things off, but
no, don't do it. All know we were pleased. We weren't, blown away. But I think a B performance is really good for these guys.
It is from where we've been. That's a
Yep.
great start to the year. So let's just take that
Uh-huh.
in. I think this next group is going to be fairly easy, but we still need to rev about them a little bit, and that's the running backs. And again, remember, we'll ask for you guys your grade here in a second, but you can offer comments and questions on the group, on this running back group as we discuss them a little bit. I'll give you a couple of numbers. We won't go through everybody because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Technically, people rush the ball. Some of those are running away. We had Tank 16 for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 39. It should have been like 70 something. That's a 9.2 average per carry. Robbie Ashford 6 for 73. 6 rushes for 73 yards, long of 68. Or that long of 49. I'm looking at this wrong here on the new screen that I have. Jarquez Hunter had 8 rushes. He had 30. Is that right? Only 35 yards. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Goodness. And he did have his 3 touchdowns. I felt like he had a longer run than 19 yards in there. Interesting.
It's kind of wild, isn't it?
It is. And then Javaris Johnson would probably be the other one of note because he was used on some jet sweeps type of situations, which I know makes people go, ooh, a little bit. Damari did get a few carries, but nothing really resulted from it. But so that's really the rushing stats that are of note right there. Ben, your thoughts on the rushing group?
Yeah, look, Tank Bigsby is the workhorse. He is the tank. It's unfortunate that he carried the rock as much as he did because he had to come out when he got in the red zone, which, Jarquez looked incredible in the red zone. So,
yeah, he did.
Very happy with his power running in that area. Glad that Tank got 2 big touchdowns. One very, very nice touchdown to begin the second, or I guess whatever it was, post-rain delay.
It was pretty much the third half at that point.
Yeah, third half. Ridiculous. And look, between the two-headed monster and then you add Robbie Ashford in there, I'm not a big fan of the triple option. It killed Georgia Tech's team. People brought up Georgia Tech earlier in this.
Yeah.
But we could run it and we could do very well with it. So the run game at Auburn is, back to running back you, and I'm absolutely thrilled.
It's funny. I talk about this story a lot about having the conversation with the Georgia fans in Chick-fil-A right after the game last year and asking their opinions about Mike Bobo. I said, is this just the growing pains of where he wants to go? Or is this the style, not the effectiveness, but the style? He said, this is the style. And I said, that ain't going to fly. I said, that is not going to fly here unless it sees some serious improvements.
Yep.
And you can tell whether it was by design last year, even with Coach Harson's approval, he has completely decided, you know what, we need to get back to what Auburn knows best, and that's running. We'll talk about offensive line in a second and their involvement in the run game. But it felt like at times Tank did run into a wall to start off the game. What I was impressed with Tank this year in one game so far was what he lacked, it seemed like last year, which is what he had in his freshman year, was the ability to absorb and bounce and continue to redirect himself going forward. And that was very impressive. So I think, I walk away super impressed with Jarquez, like you said, seeing him being so dominant in the red zone and up close at the goal line. And then Tank as well being so dominant as well. So I guess we could move into a grading period, Ben, if you would like to.
Mm-hmm.
We can go ahead and do that. So everybody in the chat, give your official grade for running back. What say you?
Yeah. Look, we protected the football. We had 5 touchdowns on the ground, 285 yards off of 41 carries. A+.
I'm going to probably give them an A+ as well, too. I'm really trying to think of, outside of Tank Bigsby's bad drop he had, that's really the only thing I can come up with.
That would technically be a reception.
And it would, but I think, I don't know, for me, you almost have to count that as part of the running game because they're utilized so much in kind of like I know it's debatable, but
even with that, if we didn't have that ridiculous holding call, could you do an A++? Because that massive run by Tank that got called back was incredible. So
yeah, Yeah, you could. Dusty says B plus, so that's our first non A in there. But hey, listen, we all see it through different eyes. I'm gonna say, if you said A plus for you, I will say, you know what? I'm gonna do this, even though they'll never see this. I'm gonna just say A because I think there's always room for improvement. Um, and some of it has to do with the offensive line, but I think A across the board pretty much is a solid take there. Third group of the offense, wide receivers. This is a group that we're all looking for some improvement, some serious improvement. Of course, Neil's going to throw out the F for the running backs late there. Of course, Neil. Neil lives actually very close to us, Ben. In the
awesome.
same, we're all within probably 30, 45 minutes of each other somewhere. We don't know exactly where each other lives, but he's from the East Cobb area. All right, wide receivers. Let's look at some numbers that we've got here. The biggest night, Javaris Johnson, 4 receptions, 117 yards. Was an incredible night for him. His long was 56 yards after catch. He was getting 27 yards after catch. Shed had 4 catches for 47 yards. John Samuel Shanker, even though he's a tight end, we're kind of including that here. He had 2 catches for 25 yards. Damari Alston got involved in the passing game as well there. And then I'll just throw the names out that are part of the list. Tavares Dawson, Tank Bigsby, Malcolm Johnson Jr., Amari Kelly, and Coy Moore. The last 3 there didn't really have anything come from it, but at least they're targeted and allowed them to get some reps out there. When you look at wide receivers, what are your thoughts? What sticks out to you? Good, bad, the ugly?
Yeah, so I did not really know what we were going to do at wide receiver this year. Lost a lot of guys, had to have a lot of guys step up. Shedrick Jackson, I've always been excited about just because of the fact of his heritage, more than anything else. But I knew the man would be talented, and he definitely showed it going 4 for 4 on 4 targets. Javaris Johnson was one that I wasn't 100% sure on, and absolutely loved him taking over the wide receiver kind of accolades when it comes to the stats. And then John Samuel Shanker definitely knew that he was going to be kind of put in the mix based on what happened last year. He should have been in the mix more historically, and I'm really glad that he's able to kind of round the corner there and be a major target of this offense.
What sticks out to me when I look at the stat sheet here is veterans. John Samuel Shanker, Javaris Johnson, and Shed. That's what you want to see. You want to see the guys that have been here being, at least in reception total, your lead guys. Now, we're all excited about some of these names that we continue to hear lots about out of camp. Tavares Dawson, Coy Moore, who also got a mix. Malcolm Johnson Jr., who's been around for a while, but kind of picked it up. I'm happy to hear them being involved in this, but your seniors, you need that leadership. Shed came back for another year and looks to be able to provide it. And I've compared Shedrick Jackson to Cody Burns a lot. Not that he was a quarterback, but that Cody, once he made that switch, was that reliable go-to wide receiver, especially over the middle, it felt like, that would just show up for you in the biggest moments and was pretty sure hands. Nobody's perfect. Shed has had his drops as well, but he is that guy that we really need to step up this year and continue to do so as he's been doing, and continue to be a reliable source for us. A couple of comments here. Dusty says, the route running was best I've seen in a while. Willing to bet that's Coach Hilliard. Yeah. No drops from that room. Solid game. Hope they get more opportunities Saturday night. And I think, if anybody was hurt by the weather, it was the wide receiver room. They, obviously probably wanted to be on the little bit of the conservative side already in that game. And with the weather, that probably also made things a little bit difficult. Wide receivers look good, but room for improvement. And I think we all see that. We're excited about what we saw. Still miles to go before we sleep is the expression. And similar thoughts here from Levon. All right, let's grade the room. Everybody right now in the chat, post your official grade for wide receivers. I really don't know where I'm going to go on this, Ben. So again, I'm going to defer to you first and let you give it.
Yeah, so look, there were some drops, and thankfully not from the 2 tops. So I'll say because of 100% completion for 2 guys and 50% completion for the other 4, that puts me right around a B plus.
Okay.
I definitely think that, we didn't need the wide receivers to really show up. So solid B is good for this group. No turnovers, which I think is what is the best thing there. So yeah, B+ for me.
And you're saying turnovers in terms of they fumbled or they tipped
Correct.
balls into the air. Those were the
Yep.
interceptions were obviously Finley's fault. And that's what
They
Coach
were.
said. When he and one of the things I like about Coach Harsin, he's very quick to defend his guys and say, let me go look at the tape first. Let me make sure that my guy didn't run the route wrong and send a defender into the path of the throw. You know, so I love that he just doesn't react. Not that many coaches do, but he says, it could be of his fault, but let's run the tape back first and look at it and see what happens. So I think I'm also going to sit around. I guess I'm being conservative this go around, this first grading show. I'm going to say B, just a B. I kind of want to give him a B+, but I think there's still plenty of room, as we've all talked about, to grow into this area. The drops probably came from the backs and the tight ends, as he said there. But, we kind of count them into this equation here for the most part. It's not a foolproof system of grading, but we do the best we can with a variety of talent out there on the field. Let's round out our discussion of offense with the O-line. Along with the wide receivers, you got a group that is very heavily scrutinized and heavily watched this year. I will say we did see them improve in some areas, one of those being pass blocking last year. I think overall, when you look at offensive linemen in this game, you saw some good pass blocking again. If my recollection is true, there are no sacks recorded by either quarterback. Now, Robbie, you got to catch him first.
Yep.
But the fact that TJ, who we've alluded to, sits in the pocket.
Had a large pocket.
He did. So the credit needs to be given at the start to the offensive lineman for giving great pass protection, which, bless Bo's heart, he never got. It seemed like. And
well, he also didn't wait for it. So,
and I'm going to defend him on that. Would you wait for it? But anyway, we're not going to go down the Bo route. I know that's going to stir people up about the Oregon game. That's neither here nor there. I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Open up a can of worms, Kyle. Watch out.
Let me be honest with you, and then I'll let you share some maybe thoughts if you have any extra on offensive line. I felt like one of my biggest frustrations I saw earlier were some lack of openings for Tank, especially early on in the game. Now, it didn't really amount to much because Tank did what we saw him do in his freshman year, adapt and learn to relearn to absorb and bounce out and stuff like that, and be creative as a running back is supposed to do, which I think does, quote unquote, I don't mean this mean, but pad their look, their grade a little bit, but still, again, they can only be graded on what happens out there on the field. So with no sacks, the running game ended up working out great. Ben, I mean, any other thoughts before we move to grades? Like,
well, look, they didn't open up really that many holes. And we are a run first team. So that is where the focus needs to be. Yeah, holding off Mercer from a sack, good. I mean, that would have been more embarrassing than it was like positive. We still have a lot of work to do. It's been kind of the bane of the Auburn program for the past, I don't know, decade. So biggest challenge, Harsin started to turn the corner with it. Lots of improvement needed as we start to take on really difficult opponents.
I forget who it was, and maybe they're even watching right now in the background somewhere, but someone made a comment on YouTube about how Will Friend is just not getting it done. I'm like, buddy, it was one game. Just settle down. I have been more critical of the offensive line than anyone, in I hope a nice way, and I found very little to be upset with.
I would say versus the previous years, almost night and day. The improvements that we've put together are very good.
I don't disagree with that. No.
It's not where we need to be yet.
No. I think we all see that. In a perfect world, Tank hits that hole and is already getting 3 yards just from the little sliver of light. That's all Tank needs. He needs a sliver because he's relearned that skill to bounce and absorb and keep moving forward, use that momentum, and he's going to get you. All you really need is 3.5, or is it 3.34? That's pi, isn't it? No, 3.14 is pi. You need 3.4 yards per carry to get a first down.
Yep.
We prefer to get more than that, but hey, Dusty says they'll never be completely fixed until we start recruiting the position better. That is fair.
Exactly.
I mean, but again, we can only deal with what we have right now. And yes, that is the ultimate fix to all of this. So you are 100% right. Yes, and I 100% agree with this. And you know this about me, Ben, I believe, and everybody on this channel is I am the biggest Gus apologist, and I will fight for that man night and day. But his biggest mistake was bringing Herb Hand, in my opinion, and he made that mistake at UCF again. So I will fault him for that if that results again. JB Grimes got a lot of flack his second time around, but it got so bad even he couldn't fix it. JB Grimes had a really good offensive line unit when he was here that first go round. And it just, once he had to go away for health issues, I think he actually ended up coaching again not soon after that and then came back. Yeah, he couldn't. If JB Grimes can't fix what he started, that's
the players have been developing. Huge improvement year over year. Not where they need to be yet, but keep going, guys.
Yeah.
Become a unit.
They come a unit and keep the work, even with these injuries that they keep having to work through all that. All right, let's grade this group. I'd like to see what everybody says. I know some of you already been posting it, but give me your real quick right now. Everybody watching in the chat, just letter grade with a plus or minus if you need to do so. Ben, what say you?
Yeah, so look, if we break it down into two parts, they did really good on the where's my thumb in the camera? There we go. Really good with the
can't do that while I'm drinking.
With the pass protection. So I would give them, solid B+ on pass protection. However, the run blocking was abysmal. So you get like a D-. So I'd put them right at like a C+ right in there.
It looks like most of the room agrees with you. I don't think that the run blocking was abysmal, but I do not think it was great.
Dude, when you're getting hit at the line, like almost every run, that's not good.
Fair. That is fair. I guess maybe I've become so numb to it. It's just kind of one of those things now where
in
I'm
the
like,
past we were getting hit behind the line. Now we're getting hit at the line. Improvement.
Exactly. Yes. A+ for pass blocking. I just, if you break it down that way, run blocking, I'm going to give them probably a C-. I'm probably going to be a little bit more lenient. So I'm going to probably put them into, that'd probably push them up to the B- category for me. And that's probably me being way too generous. So none of y'all can say that all Kyle ever did was harp on the offensive line. You have it right here for posterity on the YouTube channel. I gave them a B-. So
look at that.
There it is. All right. So real quickly, I can't remember exactly what we both gave. I feel like we all gave quarterbacks the range of a B, wide receivers the range of a B, running backs an A, and then we got kind of a low B, C-ish area for offensive linemen. With that in mind, Benjamin King, what do you say about the overall offensive grade?
Yeah, I think it's a B+. So it was way better than I expected us to be. And you can see, look, rain delay aside, you can see the components of what Harsin and the coordinators are building together here to become something special.
Absolutely. I mean, when you just kind of, break it down here, you had 11 rushes, 10 passing first downs. These are first downs I think I'm looking at. Yes. If I remember correctly, I'm kind of going through my sheet here, trying to get everything organized and used to looking at all this year. It was fairly balanced, at least for a time. And then when you look at the results of what happened, yes, you're playing Mercer, right? So you expect to handle it. And you guys can all obviously post your overall grades right now as well, since we're talking about them. I think a B+ is fair. When you look at those two interceptions, it's much easier to start kind of lowering it really quickly after that. But I'm just being lenient because it's the first game, and I understand that things are going to get better over time. And, well, you would hope that they get better over time.
Oh, they will.
Love the play calling, Linda said. We got a B for better than expected. Yeah.
Hey,
so that's pretty good.
Before we leave the offense, I got to say this. So last year, when TJ Finley in the Alabama game had one leg and an arm, and we kept him in the game and didn't put Demetrius Davis on the field, the fact that we have a 2-quarterback system this year and it works exceptionally well is incredible. Mm-hmm. Demetrius Davis is doing amazing things at Alabama State. Don't know if you've watched any of those games.
I haven't watched them yet.
Love that guy. Incredible talent. I hope in the best of all. Wish he had gotten to play on the Plains. I love the fact that we're bringing Robbie Ashford in to make some explosive plays and having him run the offense with a balanced TJ Finley, Robbie Ashford approach. Maybe Calzada gets in there later. When you have guys that can play, put them in the game. And I'm absolutely loving that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that is the offense for you. Let's move on to the defense. And we're going to break this down by defensive lineman. Again, this gets a little confusing with edge rushers and stuff like that. We all know that Derek Hall and Iku Leota are basically defensive ends. So we're going to kind of treat them as such. And then the linebackers, the defensive backs, and that's how we'll kind of tackle. You see what I did there? We'll kind of handle. That was a very bad joke. I'm going to punish myself for that one tonight. That was awful.
We're going to tackle the defense.
We're going to tackle the defense. That was really awful tonight. All right, let's talk about defensive linemen. And again, the stats on this really aren't broken down as well as, offensive stats and things like that. There were no turns, when you kind of look at high level stuff on the defense, there was no turnovers. Now, they did fumble the ball a lot. I don't know if that was the result of us or just that was Mercer being Mercer. I kind of felt like it was Mercer being Mercer, not necessarily us. We did miss a few tackles at times. So I don't think, well, let me ask this to start our conversation before we get into a group. Do you separate the delay, what happened after that and the team before that, or are you still trying to count that as part of that? How do you look at that, Ben?
Look, I think after that, granted, Harsin was saying, we're going to go out and we're going to play. The offense executed fairly well, at least to begin, post-rain delay. But I think the main focus of the team at that point was, look, let's contain, not get injured, and get out of here with a win. And because of that, we allowed Mercer to kind of move the ball around some.
Right.
So I would say you almost have to separate the two because it's such a weird instance, especially for how long it lasted. What was it, an hour and a half rain delay, something like that?
Honestly, it felt shorter when I was in there because there was so much going on with that storm. But
I watched like 3 football games in between that time. I watched the end of the Florida game. I watched the end of the Liberty game. I watched the end of some other game, and I was like, when are we going to come back on? It was wild.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Dusty, thank you so much for that super chat, buddy. Appreciate that. Harrison Jones played well, and Imba has potential. Yes, so we saw Imba a lot after the delay, or AKA Thanos, as he calls himself. Very active over there, very excited about his future. Here, so we'll start with defensive linemen. Let me give you some just stats from some of the guys here. Your top tackler, defensive lineman-wise, would be Iku Leota with 4. He had 2 solo, 2 assists. And I felt like, again, he doesn't put up the biggest numbers, but he finds himself making big plays at the right time. Which that's, you want your best guys to show up in the moments when they're really needed. And it felt like Iku Leota does that. Colby Wooden had 3 total tackles. Derek Hall had 2. And he had 1 quarterback hurry. And I thought somebody had a sack here. Derek Hall did. And did anybody else? That's it. Derek Hall is the only one that recorded an official sack. Jeffrey Imba with 2 tackles. Let's see if Marcus Harris with 1. So when you look at this, you don't see the most tackles coming from your defensive linemen, which is usually typical outside of defensive ends. Your sacks typically come from your edge rushers, defensive ends, and that's what Derek Hall did. I'll be honest with you. I thought we would have gotten to the quarterback a little bit more. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. Especially when you have some of the guys on the team, Derek Hall, especially Owen Papo, between the two of those guys from the end and linebacker. Look, we didn't rush or we didn't blitz as much as we could have. We didn't really need to put too much pressure, but we didn't get as much as I wanted. So I completely agree with that.
So when you look at trying to grade out the defensive linemen, nose tackle, defensive end, edge rushers, how do you kind of look at that overall and give that a grade so everybody else can offer their grade now as well?
It's
tough, isn't it? Yeah, it's not a bad performance at all.
Yeah, they contained everything pre. Look, front 7 wise, they did well. Not I guess B, man.
My thing, and I like what Kevlar said here. there were missed tackles and missed sacks. And if those
Mm-hmm.
had resulted in being on the stat sheet, this is probably an A game for me
Yep.
from the defensive lineman. So I think there wasn't enough bad to put them below a B, like into a B minus, but there also wasn't like enough wow either to even give them a B plus. But it's still an above average game. Took care of business.
Well,
Look,
besides the interception by TJ Finley on a 3rd and 18 on our own side of the field, which set them up for a touchdown to end the half, the first half was an exceptional performance by the defense. Granted, not enough sacks, not enough, getting in the backfield against a team that is inferior to the Auburn, especially with the front seven being as strong as they are.
Right.
But they did a great job besides that one drive.
Right. This is a great point right here. And for, especially for Devin, who's wanting to learn more about how to look at the defensive performances, you don't see and this is typical. So your defensive tackles and nose tackles, those are your defensive linemen right in the middle. They're not going to get in unless you're Nick Fairley, the tackles and the sacks as much as the defensive ends and the linebackers, right? So just because their stats don't look as wow doesn't mean they're not doing a good job. So Dusty brings up a great point that they graded out very well, Marcus Harris and Marquise Burks. And I do remember Burks getting in there a lot. And I recall Harris making a few plays as well. So I think a B is very fine when we kind of do a holistic defensive lineman grade as wide as that group is now. Speaking of wide groups, but going to a group that's now technically smaller because there's really only two normal positions, your weak side and your strong side linebackers. Owen Papo and Cam Riley are your starters. Cam Riley, my goodness, have a day, son. 15 total tackles, 9 solos, 6 on the assist. He had 1 quarterback hurry. Man was flying everywhere. Where I looked, number 13. I kept going, who is 13 again? I'm like, are you sure that's Cam Riley? He's out of nowhere, just flying everywhere, making plays. And, that's what you want to see out of a linebacker. They're there to kind of use the holes that are being provided by your defensive linemen to get around and make those tackles, clean up plays. So that is exactly what you want to see out of that. I'll give you some more numbers. Owen Papo had 4, 1 solo tackle, 3 assists. And I'm trying to scroll down here and see if I see anybody else. Desmond Tisdale with 2, Wesley Steiner with 1. I was wanting Steiner to have a little bit more of a presence there, but I know that's coming for him. So any other additional thoughts? I know we kind of took a holistic look at the front seven, but additional thoughts about linebackers?
Nothing additional. I really want to see some blitz packages coming. Didn't need to do it against Mercer. No reason to show that. Probably not going to see it next week either. When we get to Penn State, though, you throw that boy on the ground.
Well, I think this is actually a fair point. We should just give Cam Riley a grade all to himself, A+.
Yeah, A+.
I mean, that's not even we don't have to spend time on that because that's easy.
He raises the curve.
Yes, he does. Because listen, we all knew that Owen Papo was going to come in here and be solid, right? He's even if he's not the numbers guy, he's your leader. He's your quarterback on the defensive side. He's your morale booster. There's a reason this guy was named a captain, because it was Owen, Derek Hall, and John Samuel Shanker. There's a reason those guys were named. There's a reason that was given. That honor was given to Owen Papo. And to have, if you have those two guys together, solid, that they both stay healthy the entire year, and you got talent behind him like Wesley Steiner, Tisdale, and many others that are coming. We haven't even seen Robert Woodyard, the new guy that we flipped from Alabama this recruiting cycle, who a lot of people are expecting. Linebackers, we talked about this a lot last year too, Ben, where the linebackers kept kind of getting swallowed up by everybody else, the good and the bad, which told me that they weren't making as big of an impact. They showed up big in this one. So everybody, you can post your grade now. What say you, Ben, for grading the linebackers?
Linebacker core? Well, gosh, because you got Cam Riley on there. Look, they didn't get a sack. So can I give them an A?
You can give them an A. I would say, if we're going to have a discussion here, I would say it's not A+ worthy.
No, but it's definitely like A-. It's B+, A-. I think because because of Cam Riley and his 15 tackles, it goes up to A-.
I would say I'm a little bit more. This is weird because I'm being a little bit more nice tonight. It seems like I'm going to give them a solid A.
Okay.
You know, lots of room for improvement still, but in terms of first game out there, maybe I'm just infatuated with Cam Riley's performance. Maybe that's what it is. Just to be honest, because that's what I was worried about, right? Owen Papo felt like he was on an island by himself. And we had all this young talent. Everybody's talking good about them, but nothing had really risen to the occasion yet. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just so pleasantly surprised by Cam Riley's performance that it's just going to skew and we've got a little bit of kind of up and down differential here between us and the rest of the viewers. So again, I think it's just going to have to result in we're all seeing different things, but I think what we all agree on, the potential, the bar has been raised at that group just by Cam Riley alone. We started the recruiting season last year needing linebackers bad and then turned it into a big time linebacker room. Fair point. They are not going to get sacks when they are not asked to blitz. That will change in 2 weeks. Absolutely.
Good call.
Good call. All right. Let's go to the other group that we haven't talked about on the defense, the defensive backs. Obviously, again, a little bit of variety there between safeties and cornerbacks, but essentially the same thing. If I remember correctly from Coach Harson's press conference today, he was complimentary to everybody, but I think he was a little bit more honest about some opportunities for growth after the game from the defensive backs. Frankly, I wasn't shocked by that because I remember specifically Nehemiah Pritchett and Jalen Simpson making some great layout plays, to bat a ball away from a receiver, but there were probably some miscues as well that I missed. I'll give you some stats and I'll let Ben offer his thoughts on the group. Let's look right here. Donovan Kaufman, you're going to see him showing up a lot. He is, tied for your second most tackler there with 5, and Keontae Scott right behind him. Both of those guys are safeties. DJ James, the transfer in from Oregon, gets in at 4. Nehemiah Pritchett with 3 tackles. Zion Puckett with 3. JD Rim with 2. I've learned how to say that one eventually. I used to call him Rhyme, but it's Rim. Gilbert got 1. And Caden Bridges got 1, and that's about it on the defensive back side. Anything that sticks out to you from this game, defensive back wise, cornerback, safety?
Yeah, look, we had 5 pass breakups. The leader of that was Nehemiah Pritchett with 2. Puckett got 1. Had another one from Kaufman. No interceptions though, and we did allow, granted, post rain delay, some significant passing yards. So, because it's tough because of this game, grade wise, you really want to see your DBs be able to contain and, take the ball away. And that did not happen. I'd say first half of the game, it was definitely, a B performance. After the rain delay, can you grade that? I don't know.
I would agree. You don't want to not say that's part of it. Excuse me, as I knock my microphone. Wow, Kyle. That is part of it, but it's just such a weird game overall that I do and I don't want to give them a pass, right? So.
If you do, it drops the grade down a letter.
Yeah.
So and that's unfortunate because there was no huge blown coverages. Nothing to, harp on, but there's still a ton of room for improvement. And granted, the DBs have probably been our weakest link for a while.
Outside of Roger McCreary.
Yeah. Well, you've got some star players, but
right.
The
collectively.
Yeah, as a group, there's holes. Look, I'd say one of the biggest things is we didn't have any targeting, and that's been an area that's been shredded by targeting historically.
I was about to say Smoke Monday's not here anymore. So
he's not. Yep. So I'll definitely say that's a vast improvement. But yeah, overall, are we giving letter grades now?
Let's do letter grades. Everybody in the chat, offer them up. What you got, Ben?
Yeah, I have to, because of the whole game, have to give them a C.
Yeah,
I feel bad about it, but yeah, it's the area that needs the most improvement when it comes to our defense right now.
Kind of looking back a little bit here, just from my own kind of working through my grade process. Fred Payton, their quarterback, was 21 for 36. So not great percent. Well, it was okay. I mean, not great percentage completion, but 197 yards. He probably got most of those after that delay. 2 touchdowns, and that 1 sack came from the defensive lineman, Derek Hall. The longest pass he had was about a 26-yarder. So, yeah, in an effort to be complete, whole in grading, I will count the delay against them, and I'm going to give them probably a B minus. Wow, I've been very nice tonight.
Yeah, I want you as a professor, Kyle.
I think honestly, it comes from what I'm impressed with in this game, and it goes more than just defensive backs, defense. It goes to offense too. The guys that have been here stepping up in big ways, and they're not. We look at the numbers here. We're not thinking about the individual plays. Like I said, I recall Nehemiah Pritchett and Jalen Simpson making great layout pass breakups, or at least getting in the way of the receiver to make them drop the ball several times. And that's what you want to see is your seniors showing up, leading by example. And I think that's probably what's skewing is because I wanted to see the senior leadership, and it's there. And it was just really nice to see. We got a B minus, a C, and a C. So it seems like we all can kind of settle in somewhere around like a C plus range for that. So let's bring it all full circle. Right now in the chat, you can all post your full grade for the defense overall. Just try to signify that it's that one and not defensive back one. For you, Ben, if I can recall, we gave defensive linemen B-ish, B range. Linebackers were B range too, and this one was probably more on the C side of things. So overall, defensively, what do you say?
Yeah, so I think it was a B plus, a B, and then I just had it as a solid C. So look, I'm going to round up. I think it's a B, maybe B minus overall, just because post rain delay, like we were just trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
Granted, it was Mercer, right? So you would hope for a shutout, and if it wasn't for a dumb turnover and rain delay, it very well could have been.
Right.
So performance, because of the way that things played out, got to give him a B minus.
I will sit on. I'm going to give them a B. Again, here I am. It's just trying to one up you all night, I guess. I think my view is just a little bit skewed in terms of being very pleasantly surprised by some upperclassmen leadership and some things like that. And maybe that changes next week when San Jose State rolls into town. And by all accounts, it should be a better team because it is FBS, not FCS.
Yep.
I do think we're going to benefit from Coach Harsin having a lot of familiarity to them with playing them all the time at Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably have some different perspectives. Really quickly, we don't have to break it down all the way on special teams, but let's just talk about it a little bit. Overall thoughts. I think Oscar Chapman only had 1 punt on the night.
Yep.
And it was it was in a short yardage situation, so that's kind of skewed in terms of how well he punted or not. Anders Carlson made all his extra points. No field goal. I wish he had attempted a field goal because it would have helped me for my score prediction, if I'm being selfish. I do remember kickoff returns coverage. A lot of people making waves on that, and especially Jarquez Hunter. He got the special teams player because of that. I have one other thought about special teams as a whole, but any other ones for you?
Nothing to call out. Nothing spectacular. We didn't really need special teams. Look, this weekend, the first weekend of college football, and maybe I am wrong. I don't even know what my own.
He's just saying that your handle is different on Twitter. Yeah, you got to put it
thank you.
right.
I'll fix that for next time. Yeah, with the special teams, we've seen a lot of really bad special teams plays to begin the season.
Well, we've seen 2 teams with terrible.
No, there were a lot of really bad.
I know.
Look, there were very prominent teams that just ate it. But look, ECU could have beat NC State if they knew how to kick a PAT or field goal. Both Liberty and Southern Miss missed multiple field goals in that game. LSU can't kick an extra point. There's a ton of difficult special teams out there right now.
Yep.
And we were solid.
Yep.
So very proud of the performance overall. Nothing really big that was outstanding that would put us into like the A range, but we didn't do anything bad.
Right. So here's my biggest drawback is I thought there was a little bit of over aggressiveness on punt returns. Some decisions to maybe run a little bit too late made me a little bit nervous. I kind of have jitters about, catching the punts. So that made me a little bit nervous.
Yep.
But overall, we got the athletes to do those things. And I know that Coach Harsin trusts them a lot. So with that in mind, kind of looking at a holistic grade for special teams that everybody can offer that now if they'd like to in the chat, what do you grade them out as?
Yeah. Nothing special. And because that, I can't give you like a higher letter grade, but nothing bad. I think it was a B performance. So we get a B.
I'm going to give them an A- because of the, I was so impressed by the kickoff return coverage, the athleticism that showed the tenacity, like the desire by guys that have roles outside of that, like Jarquez, that just got down there and destroyed people. I mean, that shows you that the guy just loves playing football. He doesn't care that he's, having 3 rushing touchdowns. I just want to hit somebody. And you got to love a guy like that because it's rare that, well, it's not rare, but it's becoming less and less that you see guys that just love the game of football. And Jarquez Hunter is one of those. So I think, you could make a grade either way you want to on special teams, but I'm going to give it an A- for just the fact of needing a wow play or something like that. So there we go. Those are the grades for the Auburn Mercer game. We are putting that to bed. Final thoughts, Ben, on Auburn versus Mercer, game 1, 1-0.
Look, we did not know what this team was going to look like, and they came out and took care of business. That's all you can really ask for a team starting off the season with kind of a tumultuous offseason. Very proud of the performances by our guys, both offense, defense, and special team. Overall, B performance for the Auburn Tigers, and I'm happy to see kind of where we go from here.
That's pretty good rounded out thoughts there. We're going to take a few comments and questions in the chat if you have them, so post them now. Just a couple reminders on our way out, though. If you haven't, please do make sure you smash the like button. It does help the channel out. I know it doesn't seem like it. Even if you're watching on social media, the retweet button, the share button. Biggest thing you can do is invite a friend, help them join our little family within the Auburn family, and check out the links in the description for ways you can help support our content and keep the lights going literally here. I've got new lights because of you guys. The Booster Club is one of those things over on Patreon. Get some extra perks over there. Or if you just want to stay here on YouTube, for those of you watching here and just be able to support that way, we've had several of you join up recently and become a channel member. $1 a month. That's it. That's all it takes. And you're a channel member. You get icons next to your name, emojis, all that kind of stuff. But there's other ways, TeePublic, PayPal, all that kind of stuff. So check that out there. Any last minute comments and questions from our chat here? Let's see. I think we score more on San Jose State than we do against Mercer, I guess, or did, however you want to say that. Probably so, because I bet they open it up more to get more on film for Penn State. Would you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, because I'm going to be there. So I want to see offensive explosion. You've got something better to do than go to see San Jose State. But, man, I'm going to be there. It's a tradition to go around my mother's birthday, which it just happens to be September 10th. So it's going to be an exciting time.
I hate that I'm not going to be there because A, you're going to be there, but several, like we've got a couple of Booster Club members that are going to be there as well that I'm not going to get to see in person unless they come again this year. And just, we don't get to eat at not Jim and Nick's, Mike and Ed's anymore together, but I miss hanging out with the biggest Barner I know on the plains. So I'm sad I won't be there, buddy.
Next time.
Auburn Elvis says, Mercer, best team in the state of Georgia? Yes or heck yes? I know someone that can answer that question for you, and I will not say his name because that'll get people going again.
Best FCS team. Yeah.
Very good. If we're going to talk about the best FCS Georgia team, which I don't know how many there are.
I don't either, but sure.
Anyway,
I like the colors.
I actually do agree with that, Ben. And a lot of people I heard say they hated the white and then that kind of bold orange they had on them. I loved it. I thought their uniforms looked pretty good.
Thought it was sharp.
Much better dichotomy between color schemes this coming up week with San Jose State, though. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next Monday with another breakdown grades video. And I think Ben is planning to join us, if not all season, for a lot of the seasons. We'll just keep hoping he comes back and inviting him back, and we'll have conversations with him. The rest of the week, Wednesday night live stream, call-in show. Anything's fair game to talk about on that show. It'll just be a free-for-all smorgasbord. And then Thursday night preview for San Jose State before we get into the weekend stuff. Thank you guys so much for being here. Smash that like button on the way out. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. Until we talk to you guys again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.